Choice is an illusion created between those with power
Oh,
and those
Seraph,
without.
dude. Seraph.
Seraph is great.
Yeah, man.
All right.
You do not truly know someone until you fight them.
Well, Julien, nobody's going to know us until they listen to this podcast that we're doing on The Matrix Reloaded. That's right, everyone. That was the start of the pod. Julien had no idea. We're going right into it. This is the Hungover podcast. My name's Ivan over there.
Julien, and we are Matrix fanatics. That's why we're reviewing the whole series. Period. The entire series.
Start to finish,
related.
additional content. We're going to do the Matrix universe, cinematic universe, and expanded universe.
And then we'll
outside
come
of
back
cinematic universe.
when Matrix 4 comes out, probably in 3 years. Okay.
Because it's the coronavirus stopped its shooting. But
Yep.
Every
the
week,
machines
you know what-
couldn't calculate for that.
you know what they can't stop every week, Julien?
What is that?
They can't
What is
stop
that?
us talking about what we've consumed this week, whether it be alcohol or media of various sorts. Video games, movies, TV shows. Julien,
Yeah.
what have you been up to?
I've been working hard. I work at a butcher shop, so I am exhausted all the time now. And my weekends are Tuesday and Wednesday. But that doesn't mean
Wait, your weekends are Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and
Wednesday,
Thursday?
Thursday. I don't fucking know what day it is.
He's so tired he doesn't realize.
But anyways, I'll tell you, Nikki and I went to the Home Depot to get a new grill because it's finally getting nice in New York City, and we have a back deck that's made of wood, so that's gonna work out well. But we're gonna try to put some tiles under it eventually. We'll see about that. But we got some planting stuff, and our buddy, one of Nikki's friends, helped us drive all the stuff back home, which was very nice of him. Home Depot, thank you for staying open. Also, I know it can be difficult in these times to
They've
draw.
got your back.
Yeah, Home Depot always got your back. We spent like 40. Oh my god, this grill! It's a nice grill, but they didn't have it directly in stock where we could see it, and we asked multiple employees where it was, and then or if we could have the display one because it was already assembled and it looked fine. And then it took 40 minutes to get this grill, basically. from seeing it and just asking employees. So basically all I'm saying is Home Depot, get your employee game up. Anyways, the point was.
So wait, you walk in, you see that you look through. It's Home Depot. They've got
Home
tons
Depot.
of grills out there.
So many.
You're looking at them, or you already know what you're getting when you go in.
No, we didn't already know. We looked at them, but we saw this grill maybe within 3 minutes of walking.
Comparison
in the store.
shopping, real quick.
Yeah.
You and Nick are looking through. You're like propane or charcoal. You're like obviously charcoal.
More
because
control.
that
Well,
input
actually,
the
let's-
flavor.
Yeah, the flavor.
You get to cook like a caveman.
Yeah, you get to light the fire. That's fun. You get the chimney starter.
Did you get the chimney starter?
Of course I did.
Life changing.
Who do you think
Life changing.
It makes my life so much easier. It's great.
I don't know why we became Seinfeld just then, but anyway.
Life-changing.
So then, how many? You go up to the first employee. You say, "Ma'am, I need to buy this grill."
As a man. Yeah, we would like to purchase this grill. We don't know where it is. And he's like, oh, let me look through the aisles, which are fucking massive. Because in this Home Depot, it's actually a warehouse.
It's a skyscraper, so it's like 3
literal
floors
skyscrapers. They need the forklift to get up there. And they have to close off the aisle. And then he's like, all right, we need to call garden...
So does he get the forklift at this point, or is he
No,
just
of
walking
course
around? Does
not.
he have like
He's just
those
walking
little
around.
opera telescopes or the opera binoculars to look
This
up?
guy, he needed a garden supply person to come over, so he called one over. That person took a look.
The grill
and then-
experts in the garden section.
And by the way, this grill on display, the display grills are like elevated on the first. They're on the first fucking shelf for the one that I wanted. So it was assembled, but like I couldn't see into the grill without taking it down from the shelf. It's like,
Which
why
you didn't
want
to
to
do
there?
because you're trained as a good boy. Good boy don't take example
no,
down
don't
to look
worry.
into.
He took it down for us, and you're like, you know what? Maybe you could get it here. Just let me go get someone to ask if you can do that, and he just never came back. So
employee 1 just disappears.
Yeah. So then Nikki
employee
and I are
2
like,
calls over garden person.
oh no. This was the garden person.
Okay.
He said that. So then
So that's
Nikki and
employee
I.
number. The garden person.
That's
took
the
it
second
down?
employee. That's the second. Yes.
Okay.
That's the
So
second
garden
employee.
person 2 takes it down. Then he quits presumably.
Yeah, he's
To
just
go work
I'm
at
out.
Lowe's.
Across the street. So then Nikki and I were just standing around waiting for this guy, and we eventually just decided to, you know what, let's just roll this thing along to the garden supply area because we also want to buy some gardening things. And then we get to the place, and this woman gives us a weird look, one of the Home Depot employees, because we're wheeling around a model, display model. And then we ask her, do you think we can just buy this one? And she says, you're going to get to the cash register, and the register is going to tell you no. So I'm going to say no. And then we stood there for another 10 minutes talking to her about it, and then we just rolled it back. And then we
so that's
found
employee number 3, and 15 minutes before that guy went and asked to go ask a question and then quit.
Yes. Then we put it back, and we're like, all right, which grill are we going to get then? This is our grill. It's the perfect size, and it's like completely enclosed, so it's not going to burn down our wooden deck that we're putting it on. And it's great. And it has a little cute chimney, and it's like, it's one of those round barrel grills, that could be a smoker.
You could adapt it to a smoker.
Yeah, it has a chimney. It could happen. I'm just putting it out there. And then and it could probably fit a decent sized brisket in there. That's all I'm saying.
Full Metal Jacket style, this is my grill. There are many others like it.
Yeah, we wanted
this.
Yes, there are many others like it, but they're too big, and we're not taking that home. So then we found this guy on the other aisle, which was behind this one, next to the grill aisle, and he had one of the phone things, and he was putting things away. So we asked him, and of course, he about the grill and if there were any left, and he actually scanned the ticket and figured out
for the first time
that there were 3 left, and this was one of them. So he needed to find. It's like, okay, then I need to find the other 2. He walked away for a while.
If
and
that's
came
one
back.
of them, why can't you just buy that one?
I know.
Like there are 3 left,
my
and
God,
this is one
Home
of them.
Depot.
So let me go find the other 2.
So, anyways, he comes back with another guy. So this is a 4th employee. He comes back with another guy who's driving the
5th.
forklift. Oh, 5th, fine, whatever.
Because initial guy, gardening guy who fucked off, woman who told you can't buy that.
One.
For the guy in the safari aisle next door, I assume.
Yeah.
And then the 5th guy who's driving the forklift.
Yep, the forklift comes back with the forklift. They actually ended up bringing down the wrong pallet, and then they had to put it back up and then bring down the other one, unwrap it, and then they finally got us our grill. And that took 40 minutes. We were just in this aisle trying to get this grill when they
40 minutes, 5 different employees, 1 piece of heavy equipment.
Oh, God. It wasn't even that heavy. But anyways, we got...
No, the forklift is heavy equipment.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We got some tomato seedlings as well we're going to try for tomato plants. We got peppers, jalapenos, and cayenne. Big fan of those 2, so I'm excited. And then we went home, and one of Nikki's friends was there, and we just Nikki wanted to put the grill together, and we wanted to put a movie on. So I found one of the 2 movies that I watched, both of which have an incredible car budget for the movies.
Yeah.
So The Matrix Reloaded, obviously, we're going to talk about that, has a huge car budget. Let's put it that way. They spend so much money on cars. The other movie, though, that I watched was called Rat Race, which I've seen
What
many
a
times
fantastic
before.
movie!
It's a great movie.
It's a race. Carbohydrates
race.
are good.
I'm winning.
Love that movie.
I'm all alone.
You
No
gotta
one-
look over there.
It's
It's not
such
a deaf
bad
thing. The
movie.
guy has a really bad tongue piercing.
Oh my god. And then there's the horrible Hitler jokes just like,
At the
oh
Barbie
my God.
Museum.
They've really pushed that to the limit there. It's
John Lovitz.
unnecessary.
How great.
Yeah, but that movie has a huge car budget as well. There's so many vehicles in it. And also they had a really, I don't know if it was CG, that helicopter scene, but it seemed pretty realistic.
I
It
don't
seemed
know. I
like
don't remember.
They had a what's her name? Amy Smart driving this helicopter because she's a helicopter pilot in it, and also very attractive. If I do say myself.
Great Amy
so
Smart
myself.
movie.
Apparently, yeah, she's just following this pickup truck because she caught her boyfriend cheating on her in a pool with this total babe, and she decided to visit him while flying over, and it's funny. But then she just chases him in the helicopter, but like at ground level. So it seemed, I don't know, it seemed like it could have
It's
been
a ridiculous
CG, but-
action scene for a comedy.
Yeah, for a comedy movie. And it seemed very realistic, so I don't know if it was real. There was probably
that
some
movie
practical
was
stuff.
filmed on location where Mission Impossible 2 was filmed. So they just borrowed the
Oh.
helicopter.
There you go. And also they had some pretty expensive cars, or at least by today's standards. I think they had the Jeep that Nikki's friend was telling me, the Jeep that Seth Green and whatever his brother's name is were driving at the pretty much in the beginning of the race is no longer in production. It goes for a lot of money now. It's a Wrangler. I don't know. Maybe something like that.
That's definitely a Jeep car. A Jeep
Yeah,
Wrangler.
yeah. So yeah, I watched that movie. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna stop hanging out with you right now, Nikki, and your friend, because I know you didn't want to watch Rat Race to begin with. So now you're like, oh, I'm not in the best mood right now. I hate Mr. Bean. She hates Mr. Bean.
How do you hate
I don't
Mr.
know why.
Bean?
He's a funny guy.
Ron Atkinson is
He's a
so
great guy.
great.
She just
Johnny
hates his
English.
comedy. She just doesn't like his comedy. It's like, okay, fair enough. But I put it on anyways, and I definitely know you do not want to watch Matrix Reloaded, but I need to watch it for this podcast, so I'm gonna go into the room and watch it. And I just brought a bottle of wine in there and just got real drunk watching Matrix. It was great.
Nice, dude. What'd you drink?
It was a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's from South Africa, and I think it was called Ranley, the horse.
Cab
There's
Sauves have become so popular of late. I drank them a while back and now have just fallen out of love with them.
It's a smooth wine, and it can definitely go with, it can stand up to a lot of red meats as well, or richer meals that you might have.
Did you
So I
actually
think-
put the grill together yesterday? Did you grill on it?
I'm grilling today after this podcast. So I have some pork sirloin that I got from work, and they're really trying to make me eat. I'm gonna be put on customer service soon, if I pass this test, and so they really want me to try everything at least once in the that we normally sell,
Makes
so
sense.
I can have some sort of talking point from it. So I'm gonna be going through everything from the round, which is the hind leg of the cow. You get a lot of stuff from that. That's like top round, bottom round, eye of round, that type of stuff. London broil is cut from the top round, I guess.
Really great sandwich meat.
Yeah, great stuff. We make a good roast beef that we use the bottom round from, I think. Or no, we use the navel, which is from the loin or the rib. I can't remember right now. I need to do my studying. But otherwise, yeah. I'm gonna cook some pork sirloin. Excited for that, which comes from the hind quarter of the pig. exciting
Nice.
stuff. I'm learning a lot now. I've committed it to memory, so I'm excited. Anyways, Yvonne
Yo.
got real drunk drinking some wine, watching The Matrix. How about you? What are you been up to?
I am going to get drunk on wine. So
Good.
I forgot to cancel my HelloFresh order for this past week, so I got one that showed up on my doorstep.
That's
Oops.
pretty sweet. Well, whatever.
But always with the HelloFresh is like, here's another way for you to spend money, and it's always some bullshit thing. But I decided I would go through with it for science.
Okay.
And so so the Wall Street Journal Wine Club partnered with HelloFresh, and so I got is a case 6 bottles or is that half a case?
That's half a case. I'm pretty sure it's 12.
That's what I thought too. So I got half a case for like $40, plus 2 more Super Tuscans and 2 stemless wine glasses.
Ooh.
So all in all, taxes and shipping, it was like $54.
That's
for
pretty cheap.
a ton of pretty highly rated wine.
And
I could
so
have
you
gotten
got
reds,
them.
whites, or mix, and I decided all reds because that's what I prefer.
Yeah.
And Laura's not here, so fuck it.
Yeah, I never. My mom drinks a lot of wine. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and she can pack it away. That woman
Yeah,
is
I don't
crazy.
know. She's very, very small Asian woman, and she buys wine by the case, and she knows the wine that she likes so much that she'll just buy a whole case of the same wine. So you're doing a variety pack, though. I'm guessing.
So it's got some Super Tuscans, Cab Sauv. I think there's one. So there's some American Cab Sauvs. There's some
you're gonna enjoy
French,
yourself so much.
Some French stuff and some Italian stuff. I think I looked through all of them before I purchased, but I can't. Like, I'm looking through just the quick view and I can't identify everything.
Yeah, one thing I definitely inherited from my mom is a love for wine. I love getting drunk, of course, but I don't enjoy getting drunk off of anything more than wine, I assure you. I love getting drunk off of wine.
I enjoy drinking wine. I think I enjoy getting drunk off of vodka the most.
That makes sense. I wonder why.
The thing is, it doesn't. I am the only person in my family that drinks vodka. Like, my
So
dad
dumb.
hates vodka. My mom can't stand it, and then my sister doesn't drink it. So,
That's so
like, I'm
weird.
literally the only person in my family who's like, vodka, I'll take 2 bottles, please. So anyway, Cinco de Mayo, we played some video games.
Oh, yeah.
I did some.
Forgot
I
that
did
happened.
tequila during that.
Yeah,
Espolon
rum
Reposado. Then you did rum chata.
That was
Great
great.
beverage.
Great beverage.
So actual horchata paired with spiced rum, not like the rum chata pre-mixed bullshit. So it was actually good horchata.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then this past week I played and beat Gears Tactics.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
thought that game was really, really like a decent game. I would say it's probably not a $60 value. I would say it's more in the $40 range.
Okay.
But I beat it in 30 hours, and I was taking some time. I had to restart missions a lot. So there are 5 different difficulties, and I played it. The hardest is insane. I played it on experience with just one below that on my first run through. So now I think if I went back, it would obviously be a little easier. I understand the game a little bit more. It's cool. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like an XCOM turn-based tactics game. So you assemble a small team. You can only send forth a maximum of 4 people, but every mission has different modifiers on it. So additional like objectives that you can accomplish for extra gear. And some missions only allow you to send 1 or 2 people for the entirety of the mission. Now, some of those, a lot of those missions, you're rescuing troops that are in the wild, so you gain more people during the course of the game. But some of them are on extremely hard difficulty. Like you can only send in 2 people, and you're facing wave upon wave upon wave of enemy. I played one of those missions where I couldn't beat it. I couldn't understand how to win that scenario, so I had to give up on that one. So it can get really challenging. I got stuck on a boss for about 3 hours, I think. And
damn, that's so long.
Yeah,
What the hell?
it's a different approach than XCOM, because in XCOM basically you face the missions. Then if you lose the mission, it's kind of like, I guess I've never lost one of the critical missions, so I guess in those it would be a game over. But in this one, there's lots of checkpoints that you reach during missions, so you can reload to the checkpoint if you lose. There's an Iron Man mode, which means that you don't get to do that, so every decision is kind of final.
Okay.
But I don't like playing that because I play games for fun. I'm not a masochist. So the challenge of the difficulty is enough for me. I would say that the one thing is, like, they give you a bunch of gear, but you don't have like a home base to create gear or research anything like you do in XCOM. And the gear attainment is really slow. So there is basic, rare, epic, and legendary gear, and the drop rate of legendary gear is like really low. You basically don't get it until you don't start getting it consistently until like 2 or 3 missions, main story missions before the end of the game. And even then, it's not that impressive. Like, there's a lot of customization that you can do, but it's not that interesting. And you can build a full roster of people, but
that's kind of cool.
You really don't use them. Like in XCOM, you can send soldiers to train, and you can do lots of things to upgrade your crew. And your roster will eventually boil down to like 6 or 7 people, because the max squad in XCOM 2 is 6 people. So you're going to boil it down to like 6 or 7 people. So if one person gets injured, you can swing people back in. You don't take injuries the same way in Gears. So like if your character gets injured or whatever, they're fine to go into the next mission.
Okay.
But there's a mechanic that prevents you from going into the next mission with them if they're doing side quests. So there's like main missions and then side quest missions. And those side quests, you can only send one hero to do one side quest mission, but you might need to accomplish 3. So that's where the roster comes in. But the roster doesn't level up fast enough for them to make sense for you to take the same people that you had in mission 1 and keep them in mission 10. It's way faster for you to just like delete the people off of your roster and pick up new recruits. So there's no investment other than like the 4 main heroes that are like storyline characters that you have to bring into certain missions. They're like required characters. So it integrates a story through line, which is kind of interesting. But all in all, I think that the level advancement is really slow, and the type of gear that you're getting, it will get repetitive and not that great. So mission variation is pretty cool. There are like 3 or 4 missions, and again, like I said before, the missions will have different modifiers, which make them usually more difficult. And I always tried to do the optional objective, which made the mission technically more difficult. But you get snipers who can kill like 8 or 10 enemies in one turn.
Okay. That's pretty
because of the abilities. The skill trees, like the scout class, I found to be totally irrelevant. The cool thing is that I've never played Gears games, but I know that they're super gory. They're super focused on like that tactile chainsaw use or spearing people or whatever. And the frag grenades have that unique like toss look to them. All of that is integrated into the game. Like,
nice.
You can chainsaw people. Finishers are important because they can, when a teammate executes a downed enemy, your entire team gets another additional action point. So it's a really cool system. I like the game. I can invest a lot into it, and there is an end game. Like, I beat the main story mission, and now there are veteran missions. But they're pretty much the same. And I played a few of the veteran missions just because I wanted to talk about the game. And I've played through 2 sets of like story missions, and there are no legendary drops in any of the side missions. So
that's weird.
It's really, really slow. And there's an achievement for outfitting an entire, like a character with all legendary gear. But the drop rate is so low that you're going to have to play like 100 veteran missions to get that. It's crazy. So I think at that point the game is just a grind.
Wow.
And all in all, I give it a B+ probably. The bosses, like the earlier bosses, you fight a Corpser and Barumak, a Barumak, and then you face a Hydra. And the last enemy, the Hydra, is I think by far the least interesting. I thought the Corpser was the most fun.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Because it was hard.
That's pretty
that
sweet,
was
bro.
My review, and that's half the podcast gone. So let's get into reloading what we wanted to, and that's The Matrix. The Matrix Reloaded.
The Matrix Reloaded, the long-awaited follow-up to 1999's The Matrix.
Yeah, The Matrix Reloaded came out in 2003.
Yeah.
And it introduced, so sequels are always supposed to kind of deepen and broaden kind of the mythology of what we're getting into. Mm-hmm. And The Matrix Reloaded really over-delivers, I think, in this category. Like, the Wachowskis, like, really
brothers,
were like...
still at the time, still brothers.
We're like, we really want to just blurt out every possible scenario of what this Matrix thing is.
Yeah, so I think it was sort of hinted at, and I don't know if they had this story in mind. Of course, they filmed The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, I think, pretty much at the same time.
I thought so.
It came out maybe half a year later, like 8 months later. The third one came out from the second one. And I don't know, maybe it was a year later. I have to look up the dates, but I think it was hinted at somewhere in the first Matrix that there were multiple iterations of the Matrix. I think Agent Smith talks about it. And this is what this movie sort of reveals and gets into. It sort of reveals that the Matrix, I mean, it was already talked about in the first one, is a form of control over humans. Mm-hmm. That the machines have, and it's really talked a lot about in this movie. Control and choice are probably the two huge themes of this movie. Do we have control over the machines? I think the Elder and Neo talk about this a lot, but that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. This movie had a lot to it. I think what they really wanted to showcase in this movie is Neo's powers and how powerful he has become since the first Matrix, after he awakened himself as the One. And they really wanted to showcase where human society is outside of the Matrix as well, and sort of establish how the humans exist outside of the Matrix. There's
many questions arise in their existence in Zion.
Right.
How? Many unanswered questions.
So yeah, I mean, basically we start the movie off with a cool action scene. Yeah.
The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions shot simultaneously. But at the same time, they also did the live-action sequences for Enter the Matrix, and the Animatrix also comes out in 2003. So that's 4 Matrix properties that came out all in 2003.
Wow.
Because Matrix Reloaded comes out
early in the year.
Yeah, I think in May, and Matrix Revolutions comes out in November.
Oh, shit. So it was 5 months. Wow. Or, sorry, 6 months. That's pretty impressive that they could plan all of that and actually execute on the plan. Nothing was delayed. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That is pretty impressive. Of course, Enter the Matrix. Some great scenes with Ghost and Niobe. Can't wait to get to that one. It's such a bad game.
I really like that game.
Bad.
Let's back off of that and let's talk about the new characters that we get introduced to. So the first new character that we get introduced to is Link, who we get introduced to after the action sequence where Trinity, whose motorcycle explodes on contact, which we know is that's just how things happen.
I mean, in movies, yes, of course. It was a huge explosion. This is not to say
maybe she has like a bomb that's onto it, or like
it's possible. It's the Matrix,
contact
man.
paste, whatever.
And it's a really cool scene. I think this is they start off the original Matrix with a great Trinity scene, and they start off the second Matrix with another great action scene from Carrie-Anne Moss. I'm just saying.
I think that is kind of the mirror of what they wanted to do, right? So it's the crane kick in midair with the 360 view. What I think the first thing that initially strikes you as you go into this is the computer graphics obviously they're like, it is real. Everything
it's over.
is
we passed the millennium.
1-1. We're past the horizon. So the Wachowskis really believed in the graphics, and they open up to show that. But the second thing is the cameras are way better 4 years later when the Matrix Reloaded releases. Like the quality of the shots,
for sure,
because it was like 480, I think, basically is what the Matrix looked like, and then this one was full, like
HD.
I think full HD.
HD.
So
I think they filmed it on film, right? This wasn't a digital movie, I'm guessing.
I don't know what they filmed on. I assume it was filmed digitally.
Because really, even that early in 2000?
In 2001? Probably.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure some of the scenes were filmed on film then. I feel like I saw, the little flicker that tells the old guy to change the reel.
Cigarette burn?
Yeah. I think I saw one of those I think they forgot to edit it out in the Blu-ray that I have, because I'm pretty sure I saw it. There's like one, or maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it was just one of those fucking crows in the scene where he goes to see the Oracle, Neo. But I don't know. That's irrelevant. I think it's a really cool scene to start the movie out, and we jump in time to her just jumping out of the window, right? And we're just thrown into bullet time, and they need to draw the attention to everything that's going on so they can capture the audience's attention right then and there. And we see
it looks like it was 35 millimeter.
Oh, was it? Okay. So immediately we have Trinity fighting an agent, and they're shooting each other, going down, falling out of a building, and it's really epic. And I think it's actually a pretty strong opening to this movie. I think it's really cool. And of course, it's revealed that Neo wakes up to this dream that he was having, and it's sort of implied at that point that he's somehow predicting the future, and he's gonna have to make a choice.
Right, he's obtained the Oracle abilities.
Yes.
So it's also kind of the way that it's explaining that the one has a greater amount of ability, right? You immediately start to see his ability to fly around.
He's doing his Superman thing.
Yeah.
Right, so Link is...
So it does the same thing that they do kind of in the original Matrix. Within that first 6 minutes, they're doing some opening, defining of the rules of the world.
Yeah.
So they're redefining what the one can do.
Mm-hmm. And then we're sort of... It's... In the first Matrix, you only follow the Nebuchadnezzar, because I think it would be too overwhelming to have, and you'd lose a lot of focus in the movie if you brought in all these other crews, which this movie does. So the movie broadens out, right?
So I think Matrix defines how a crew operates, and so now they don't have to teach you how a crew operates in Matrix Reloaded. They can just teach you what the organization of the military is for Zion. So they show that there are many other captains of different ships,
and they're all able to meet from discrete locations wherever they're broadcasting their pirate signal to jack into the Matrix, and they all meet in the Matrix to discuss their plans, that they have to return to Zion. But Morpheus asks one to stay behind because he believes that the Oracle has news to tell someone, and they need word from the Oracle. They basically reveal that the whole plot device of the movie, the machines are trying to destroy Zion by digging down deeper. They've located Zion and they're going to attack it within the next 36 hours, I guess. Or I don't know how many hours it was. I think it was 36. But
it's Morpheus, 24 by the end of the movie. So
yeah,
however many at the beginning, it's 24 by the end.
These people don't sleep, all right? The whole Neo doesn't sleep. It's part of the movie. So yeah, that's like the whole plot of the movie. That the machines are going to kill Zion. Neo needs to find the key maker, and then there's a lot of other things. But
right, and so at that meeting, you get introduced to Niobe and Ghost, who are the protagonists of Enter the Matrix, and one of the first missions in Enter the Matrix is getting the signal from the Osiris, which she reveals in this scene.
So this movie has they really wanted to tie all these four properties together: Animatrix, Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, and Enter the Matrix. And I guess it's sort of almost like Rogue One. Enter the Matrix is Star Wars Rogue One of the Matrix, but way worse.
Just got to get that signal.
Got to get the signal. Got to get the Death Star plans straight and give it to the rebels. But there also is another
in Death Star to blow up.
So I kind of hate when there are a lot of, I guess Star Wars is almost like this in a way. I always hated that sort of part where they would expect, I mean, I guess they expect the true fans to watch it all, right? Mm-hmm. Every single little part. And I don't like that. I think it sort of detracts from the movie. This movie also introduces the kid who is saved by Neo in the Animatrix, or at least as far as I know. And I never really I think that sort of thing. I think the Animatrix,
the kid's comics, come to life. I think that's what I read.
I think he saves him from the school. I think there's that skateboarding kid. We'll get to the Animatrix. Don't worry, guys. We'll understand that later. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. I think it detracts you from the movie when movie makers try to have this sort of ancillary thing that you need to watch in order to understand this scene in this movie, even though it's a direct sequel to the movie before it, which I completely understand. So I don't like when that's sort of expected of the audience, even though obviously the kid and Niobe and Ghost getting that signal are not so relevant to the plot, and how it happened rather is not so relevant to the plot. It's just they didn't have time to explain it in the movie. But I think that's kind of cheap. Maybe not cheap, but I feel like it's an annoyance that I always think about in the back of my mind when I'm watching these types of movies that expect you to watch something smaller to explain this one part in the movie, you know?
I think this movie does it fairly well, where like in terms of how it works with Enter the Matrix and tying those two together. because I think you don't need to know anything about Niobe and Ghost's story in Matrix Reloaded to enjoy the movie. Like,
No, not
they
at all.
bring the MacGuffin to the meeting and show you that the things
In fact,
are drilling
the kid,
into it.
The kid has more lines than Niobe and Ghost.
Yeah, so I think that
Combined.
I think
so.
that's fine. The kid is kind of a weird character.
I think
But-
he's a weird character too, and I guess maybe we shouldn't spend too much time on him because there's a lot to talk about. I think, and he doesn't really become that relevant, that important of a character. So I don't know why they spend so much time, fleshing his story out and even including him in this movie.
Well,
So
I think that it's kind of like the so extending as much as we're deepening our understanding of the military architecture, the societal structure of Zion, we're also deepening our connection to the prophecy of the one, Neo and the One, right? So in the Matrix, all we have are two characters that really truly believe in the One. That is Morpheus and Trinity, because Trinity is going to fall in love with him, and Morpheus is going to bring him out, right?
Also, yes, exactly.
So then the extension of that is, how do all of these people who have Morpheus, you can see him preaching to those hundreds of thousands of people with no microphone. What are the acoustics of that temple?
Have you heard how deep Morpheus is?
You're telling me that the
fucking
people that are like
Lawrence
way in the back are
can
like,
project.
can you dig it? With all of the technology that they have, they don't have like TV screens live broadcasting along the way. I don't understand. Anyway, like we have that technology. Anyway, so I think it's the kid and his worship of Neo, in addition to all of those people who are bringing him gifts and of food and clothing, etc. It's deepening the mythology of the One, and we see both the people who truly are believers, like those people in the kid, and those who are like, this is folly and nonsense, like Commander Locke. And the juxtaposition of those two.
Yeah, I think that's a cool story to tell, I guess. And that Morpheus is sort of like an old crazy man in a way to some people, and Neo, I guess, is there, and they can't explain exactly how he's able to do any of the things that he's able to do, but there's still proof that he does do them. So that's why there's so many followers and believers of him.
And that's kind of what ties it in with that engineering scene, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, right? You don't have to exactly know who's behind and what's happening behind the curtain. You just have to believe in the kind of what's happening in front of the curtain.
Right. I like the so we rely on machines and they rely on us. Is that the point you're trying to make? And then the elder says, no, I don't bother making points anymore. There's no point. So I thought that was a funny line. Or people my age don't bother making points. There's no point. So
good point.
And then he's like, good point. Yeah. I thought that was a funny line. And I also like his character. He's sort of the I guess he's the head of the council, right? The governmental structure of
I don't know
Zion.
if he's the head. I think he's just one of them.
So and
interesting
he really
cameo in the Counselors is Cornel West as Counselor West.
Oh yeah, I saw. That's stupid. Yeah, that's pretty dumb. And you know, he's sort of the one on the council that is sticking up for Neo and believes in Morpheus, and I don't know his exact relationship to Morpheus, but I think he believes in the cause that they're fighting for, and it really helps out because General Locke sort of lets Morpheus do whatever he wants because the council member wishes it so,
Right.
as it were. So Morpheus is able to advance his agenda, which involves the Oracle and getting Neo to the Oracle to find out what he needs to do next. And we sort of see there's what follows is obviously there's the Zion scene where we get a little more into Neo and Trinity's relationship. They're desperate for sex. They just haven't had sex in so long, even though they sleep together every night on the.
And they're literally 2 of 4 people on the Nebuchadnezzar.
I don't understand why they're not just banging all the time on the Nebuchadnezzar. And
It should just smell like yeast in their room. I don't understand.
It's like I didn't understand. I don't understand that. Maybe they're not allowed to have sex on Nebuchadnezzar, but
Morpheus is like,
they're so fucking
no,
desperate.
you can't have sex.
They just can't. They needed to show it all. And it's just the elevator scene was just so unnecessary. I don't understand why they have to just go at it as soon as the doors close. But I guess maybe I don't understand.
To show they're in love.
Yeah, that's true
the
love.
Love is so strong.
It's true love.
Can we talk about this sex scene that they have? Also,
yeah, we can.
There are like 20 to 40 candles in this shot.
Yeah.
Where are these fucking candles coming from? There are no bees. Are you telling me they're growing soybeans? What is the candle made out of?
Where are they getting all this fat? That's a great point. What are they eating, really?
They're eating fucking protein and amino acid, everything the body needs. But they have candles?
Well, they need some way to make fat. Humans need fat too, all right? Look, that's everything the body needs. Everything the body needs.
This is just, I don't understand where the candles are coming from. There are just 40,000 candles. And then we go from so the other thing is, I just wanted to get into
Are you saying you don't
temple
like
rave
any
party.
of the Zion scenes?
Does anybody?
No, I hate them. I would always skip over them as a kid.
Yeah.
Boring.
Other than looking at, there are a few nice.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would watch that scene a couple times, and I know I found the exact couple of frames where you totally see Nip. Definitely see a lot of Nip in that dancing
Those are
scene.
like time stamped.
Yeah, yeah.
Julien is going through his childhood room and he finds like a weirdly stained piece of paper with just like 2 different timestamps on it. He's like, I don't know what this is reference to.
Look, I will tell you, there's some great nipples in that scene, and you guys need to go back and watch it. All right.
Here's my big thing about that.
Nipples.
It's how bad does Zion smell? It's just got to be awful. And then
they have
you
running
go
water.
from
They clean
people who
themselves.
are doing this rave.
Yeah.
There's this guy, the guy with dreads, who I have no problem with dreads, but he's just flinging water everywhere, which is water and sweat. And then the ground starts as pure, like, earth,
sand,
dirt, whatever that is. Even though everything else is some sort of mechanical structure, they found this one patch of earth in this cave that has the best acoustics of all time. And then it goes from being pure, like, dry dirt to this sludge from all of their sweat and excretion, and I would be so grossed out.
It's disgusting.
It's just bare feet in this sloshing mud.
It's supposed to show that they're different from the machines, and they still have the human, human vibes within them. That type of stuff. I had one question about Zion though before we move on from our least favorite part of this movie, which is clearly the whole. I think it's about 10 minutes they spend in Zion, but
it's too long. I thought it was 10 minutes in the elevator.
Longer. Yeah, probably. It's probably more like 20 minutes. But I wanted to talk about the design of Zion. I think it's pretty cool. It's like this huge column of.
It reminded me of a double helix, the structure. Yeah, where it was going down.
So I wanted to know, do you think I think it sort of reflects. I don't know if it's they found like an abandoned an abandoned field where the machines used to harvest humans. This is sort of what I was thinking. Like they found an
that would
abandoned
actually
part,
make some more sense.
and they
yeah.
turned that into Zion, or maybe it was just this is just
well,
how they
here's the
designed
thing:
it. I
the
don't
way
know.
that the way that like the architect talks about it, with Zion being destroyed and rebuilt, right?
Yeah.
Is do the machines just build this hollowed out structure that the humans repopulate, or
Yeah, that's never explained.
or like is it there? Because let's talk about the fact that they're going into the sewers. The sewers, which are these massive things that can house the Nebuchadnezzar, which is this huge, massive ship. What sewers are these that they're talking about? So
It
these
was the
sewers
peak of
connect to this
society,
big reservoir.
1999.
Oh my God, what are we talking about? You can't expand the universe because it doesn't make sense.
Look, you start digging too deep into the Matrix and it all falls apart.
They're the ones who
But-
dug deeper, literally dug deeper.
That deep down near the Earth's core where it's still warm, that's
Yes.
where the party's gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. We're running on thermal. Why? What are these sewers? Why did we make sewers so large that the Sentinels could go through them? Why weren't they just human-sized sewers? What are we talking about?
Look, anyways, we move on from Zion and we sort of fall into
So
the main
the last
three.
thing I want to say
Sorry.
is that the kid is also the audience's voice. There's a lot of moments where a lot of the characters embody the audience's voice.
Yep.
Like the kid being like, "Neo, what? You're so cool." And then at the end, when when Trinity gets revived, and Link is like, "I can't do this anymore," and we as the audience are supposed
love
to also feel that way.
I totally did that. I was so hyped. I love Link.
I also the structure I really liked. I do like the fact that they were like, if we're gonna spend time in Zion, we at least need to show partially how it functions, like with the water,
The machines.
recycling, and all that shit.
The machines.
It takes about 5 to 10 minutes for them to take the elevator down, like to go from the Nebuchadnezzar to get to where their quarters are.
Mm-hmm.
It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. In the Matrix Revolutions, there's like all out, let's get battle ready, and everybody's rushing around, and it takes them like 2 minutes to get places. How do we equate these things? What is the architecture? Like the elevators go flying up fast, but they goes really slowly down? I don't understand how
I
any
don't
of this
know, man.
functions.
It gets crazy, all right? I think the movie, The Matrix, sort of falls apart in its third film more than this. I do really like this movie because
I
of
like
the
this movie,
action
too.
and Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne. So I can totally see they spent a lot of time with the concept art as we move into the probably the three biggest scenes of the movie.
Last question
Yeah,
before we get into Seraph, who's I think the next coolest part,
yeah, he's a great character.
is, do you think Neo came?
I think.
Or was he so distracted that he
think-
just went flaccid?
Dude, come on.
Unanswerable
I'm pretty
question.
sure he did. I'm pretty
But
sure he did.
he's
dude.
he's
Would you
dreaming.
not?
He's dreaming
Carrie
about
Ann Moss.
his like love of his life dying, and he's just like, oh. I don't see it happening. I don't think he's satisfied.
Well,
I think he was
he's
pushing rope
satisfied
that
to
whole
certain
time.
Women though. Yeah, that's a good point. That's pretty gross. But
All right.
I think it's possible.
We
so
can now leave Zion.
no,
That was my
no.
last.
Look, yeah.
I had a lot of notes on Zion. That's my last question.
I think we move on, and this movie is sort of responsible for three.
Other than
really
the great
huge...
battle of the chins between
Yes.
Lawrence Fishburne and Commander Locke, which that scene where they're talking back and forth, I was just like, who's got the better chin?
And also, they those scenes had such tight shots of their faces, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just my widescreen video Blu-ray, but it cut off I don't know why they chose to cut off part of their head with the tight shot. It was just something I was thinking about.
It's because they were showing off the chins.
It's true.
Because it was a battle of the chins.
They needed to get the chin, but not the top of the bald head.
That's because the forehead, who cares about that? But the chin, that's where the power comes from.
Anyways, so we move on. There's three really large action scenes in this movie that are super fucking awesome, and I think they deserve a lot of praise. And they spent a lot of time with the choreography. And of course,
what was that?
All the money. Choreography. I can say words. But we start off meeting Sarah first, which is the Oracle. He's a new character in the movie, in the Matrix movie universe, cinematic universe, and he's there to protect the Oracle. He's a program, or so he said, or I'm not sure. I guess he's a program, right? He's there to.
He's a program.
Protect.
He's from the source. He's a source program.
Don't we? Right before this, though, I think a huge plot thing that we skipped over is that an agent. We figure out Agent Smith is able to copy himself, and he gets out of the Matrix via. Yeah. I forget the character's name. But Bane. Yes.
Bird.
So that's a huge plot device that will come into play.
We'll talk about Smith and the agents a little later.
Yeah. So basically, we see that Seraph is this cool Asian kung fu guy. They had to throw in a Chinese kung fu guy because
it was supposed to be Jet Li, and I think that scene would have been much better. But Jet Li wanted as much money as Keanu was getting, so they were like, "We can't."
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Then they were going to rewrite it to be a woman, and it was going to be what's her name? Yo.
This is the trivia.
Something Yo. Lucio. Somebody help me out. Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh.
Okay.
Who was
That's
in?
Also cool.
She was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay.
Which came out like a few years earlier, and then she couldn't do it due to scheduling conflicts, so they got Colin Cho,
who I think is a fine actor for the role. I don't know what else.
Probably the talking points. I mean, he's been in a lot of like Chinese cinema, lots of kung fu. But I thought that was a much worse version of the fight that Neo and Morpheus had.
Yeah, well, it was
too slow.
Certainly cut short. You think it was slow? I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that them on the tables was a pretty cool situation going on.
So, like, the speed of the combat that happens between Agent Smith and Morpheus and Neo, or Neo and the guys at the chateau, versus Neo and Seraph, who are supposed to be these like ultimate kung fu bros. Like, the speed of the combat is just so much slower, and I don't know. Like, I personally don't know a lot about
kung fu.
About kung fu.
I don't either.
So maybe if you go that slow with the like slow methodical hits, it's proper. But I just felt like if they sped it up like 1.25 times, like to make it look a lot faster, like that would be cooler.
I think the speed of the combat overall was in order to show more deliberate actions, make it seem like Neo is like very pinpoint perfect with his blocks and things and punches, and I think it's sort of akin to I think I heard like they wanted in Star Wars to design the difference between the way Jedi fight in the original 3 movies and the prequels. They wanted to show that it was like an age of Jedi order, and so the Jedi would always be able to fight with one hand and do like really awesome moves and things. But Luke Skywalker, who was a little less experienced at the time in the original 3 movies, he sort of
claymores it.
Yeah, he's much more broad strokes and things. So I think this movie, they wanted to show maybe Neo has come into his own and is very powerful and can fight people with one hand in this movie as well. And
I think that works.
He can see the Matrix, so he knows everything that's going on.
I think that worked really well with the fight with the agents, and that he was slow. He was slow, but it showed that he was very deliberate in the way that he was reacting to them.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it translated as well in the fight with Seraph.
Right, and maybe it was I don't know. Maybe Keanu Reeves was feeling sluggish that day. I don't know. You never know. But they only had one day to film it, so I don't know. These things happen.
They had Sarah for 4 days, 3 hours each day.
You understand scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
These things happen. So Keanu Reeves, a big name actor at this point. So then we move on to the big brawl after we meet and figure out who Seraph is. He protects that which matters most. The Oracle. And he definitely goes on to explain that he protects the Oracle, and that's all he does. So, the Oracle gives Neo some candy. And I think it's a really charming scene between the two. I really like, I don't know her name, and R.I.P., of course she passed away, and it's not in the third movie. The Oracle's actor, she was a pretty famous actor, isn't she?
Gloria Foster.
Gloria Foster, right. I think she is she does a really great job in both The Matrix and Reloaded to sort of fulfill that motherly role that they're trying to portray the Oracle as.
She delivers that dialogue just so well. It's really well-written dialogue, and she delivers it in a way that
she understands the
homey. It feels comfy, you know?
Yeah. And I love so why are you here? Same reason.
Real pickle,
I love candy. I love candy. Yeah, so I think I really like the scene that Neo has with the Oracle. There's not much to say about it. She basically just tells him that he's gonna have to find the keymaker and that he has the sight now. You have the sight now, Neo. And he can't look past the choices he doesn't understand. He's already made all the choices. But if he doesn't understand the choice, he can't see past it. So that's why he can never see Trinity die in these dreams, is because he doesn't understand what's going on yet.
And again, the big theme of choice and everything being the recurring.
Yeah, so he had to choose between Morpheus living or dying, and now he has to choose between Trinity living or dying. And then the Oracle leaves, and then Agent Smith walks in, and there's a huge epic scene where I think it's one of the coolest.
Was it called something brawl?
The big brawl or something like that. It's
Alley
one
brawl.
of the coolest fight scenes ever. I think in cinematic history. Burly brawl. It's super epic. I memorized the moves. I used to have, my mom would buy me like bamboo sticks when I was a kid. From I'm so Chinese, dude. From Pearl, there's a store called Pearl River in New York City, or there was, anyways. I think they moved and they're no longer as cool as they used to be. But they used to sell like bamboo sticks. They used to sell armor, swords, and shit. And they had like a whole tea section. It was like the most Chinese store I've ever seen in my fucking life. But it was in Soho, and they had this huge loft space. It was really great. So she would buy me some like $5 bamboo sticks or something, and I would play around with them in our house, and of course break everything. But I memorized like when he picks up the pole and then smacks the concrete off of it, he does like it's so cool. It's so fucking cool. And I was literally the target audience for that exact move. So like
I'm so curious at why a bow staff would significantly increase the strength with which you can hit people. It's like once he gets the bow basically and can use that technique, he's killing Agent Smith.
Look, it's so fucking cool. It's such a cool fight. So it basically
awesome.
it's revealed that Agent Smith has made many copies of himself in the time between the Matrix and Reloaded, and there are so many of them that Neo can barely keep up with him. But basically, he says that you've set me free, and unlinked him from the mainframe, I guess, the machine mainframe.
Mm-hmm.
So Agent Smith is just a virus going around the Matrix and infecting everyone and copying himself. So, and his goal is to try to get out of the Matrix, I think, for some reason. I'm not really sure what his end goal is. He's just trying to destroy Neo or something.
I think he wants to kill everything.
I guess so.
I think he wants to be the one and only thing that exists. That would make that. It's not quite clear what his motivation is, other than the fact that he wants to kill Neo and he hates how humans smell.
Yeah, that's the one thing, I guess, if you look back on, it doesn't really make much sense. Like, it makes sense the machines are there and they're trying to end the uprising that the humans are having, because the machines are trying to keep them under control so they can continue having energy, so they can continue existing. So that's what the Matrix is for. The humans are trying to fight against that, so they're fighting against Zion and things like that. It's a story that is maybe plausible. But what the hell is Agent Smith doing? I don't really know.
He's just existing with his,
he's just there to be the counterpart to Neo. Something needs to be able to stand up to Neo in the Matrix. Of course,
because can we talk about the upgraded agents who...
Yeah.
So there's Agent Smith, who's like, he can clone himself, and that's the way that he can fight Neo. Cool. But the upgraded agents, their aim is worse. Their ability to kung fu is worse. I don't understand how they're, quote, upgraded if, like, in the first movie, Morpheus goes against Smith, and within the first 15 seconds, he's, like, coughing up blood. And then in this movie, Morpheus can one-on-one an agent until that agent's like, I have to get into a semi and collide it. Or, like, Trinity is not getting shot for, like, 30 seconds or whatever while she's falling in air in one direction.
30 seconds? It was probably, like, a second they dropped. I don't know. Or probably 5 seconds. Look.
For people who can move faster than a bullet, like, you know what I'm saying. The upgraded agents are not upgraded.
We can maybe assume that Morpheus has gone through a lot more training since then, and has become more powerful. He also had a samurai sword. Hello? And also, he fought Agent Smith the first time, not this upgraded agent. I don't know. I'm trying to make excuses. I don't really know. But I think leading on to the next part of the movie, we have the Merovingian, who plays a small part, I guess, in the beginning of the Matrix Revolutions. He's an old program that they just copied over.
It's debated. I think he might be the embodiment of a previous version of the Matrix. That's like reading through the many fan theories and different things is like the Merovingian himself is an old version of the Matrix. And that's why he's so focused on action, reaction, causality, and all that jazz, is because in his version of the Matrix, that's what it was. It was like knockdown systems, as opposed to the buy-in choice systems that occurred later. So that what the architect talks about, where 99% of people make the choice to buy into the Matrix. In his, it was action, reaction. It was a much more simplistic system. And I think he's able to kind of create this exiled chateau because of his ability to kind of mask himself as a previous, like, system, basically.
Right. And he has control. He's captured the key maker, which makes the keys that can open up backdoor portals to wherever they want to go. So I guess I can see why he would want to hold on to the key maker, because then he can access many other terminals in the world of the Matrix. Of course, Neo needs the keymaker in order to get to the source, which he's figured out from the Oracle, and it would end the war if he made it there. So,
question about the Merovingians' home. Link says, when Neo is flying back, at the end of the whole thing, he says, "You're not going to believe where you are. You're in the mountains." Does that mean that in the Matrix, the Earth is like a video game square quadrant map, and he's like in the corner of the map where the mountains prevent you from going forward?
Yes, exactly. I mean, maybe
it's not a globe.
It's a computer program, right?
I suppose. No, I guess that would make sense.
So far out of the realm of possibility. What is real, Ivan?
It's like you're at the edge of the game map. If you go beyond that, you'll break the architecture.
So basically, we're introduced to these two twins, the Merovingian and his sort of ragtag team of older versions of the Matrix,
werewolves,
goons from the older versions of the Matrix who are notoriously difficult to take out, who carries silver bullets in their gun.
And we're introduced to Persephone, who is so hot. Monica
She's
Bellucci.
A very attractive woman.
Bellucci.
She's a very special woman. Very special woman. I dare
appeared
say,
in a movie with Keanu Reeves before this.
I actually didn't know that.
Dracula.
What movie? Oh, Dracula.
Dracula.
I gotta see that. I've never actually watched that movie. I want to watch that.
It's the next in our series of
just
look
going
backs.
through Keanu Reeves. Everything.
Yeah, why not? Makes sense to me.
He's a great guy. Yeah, maybe we will. But she's a cool character. She sort of hates her husband because he's totally cheating on her.
All the time.
Because he's a powerful man. What do men with power want? More power. That's her whole purpose, just to give the keymaker up, essentially. And also sort of reveal a little bit more about these goons that Keanu is about to fight. Your predecessors had much more respect. But basically, Keanu Reeves fights all these cool guys in a really cool action scene with weapons, and I think it's a really cool fight scene.
It is cool.
I think it's one of the cooler fight scenes in the Matrix.
We get to see another power of the One. His source power, his force power. You know,
he can just he pulls those kunai. What are they called?
Sai.
Okay, I don't know.
Kunai with chain.
Yeah.
There's Sai.
It's so cool. And I mean, I don't see why he couldn't do that. He's the One. He can do whatever he wants. He rewrites the Matrix, and then he kills a bunch of people. And then we lead into, I think, probably the climax in terms of action in this movie is this chase scene with Morpheus and Trinity. I think, and I can tell when they made Morpheus pick up the samurai sword, I think they spent a lot of time with that idea in their head, just Morpheus, this really cool black guy with obviously his whole getup, and also giving him that sort of Japanese influence, because as you know, hip hop crosses over with Japanese influence a lot. There's a huge connection between the black community and the Japanese community. So I think that was they spent a lot of time designing that sort of idea that Morpheus would fight with an Uzi and a samurai sword at the same time and be in his whole leather getup. I think that's a really cool image, and I think they sort of followed through with it. They probably had more scenes that they cut out, because I don't think they spent enough time with that. He doesn't really use the sword that much in the whole scene.
Just a Sam Fisher between the and to cut the car.
Yeah. Look, that was sick.
It's all great. It's just like if you verbalize what's happening, it's kind of ridiculously funny. It's just like, what does he use the samurai sword for? Is he in a sword fight? No, he cuts a tire off of a car and then uses it to stand in between two semi trucks.
I think that was so cool.
I think the freeway scene is one of the best sequences of all time in terms of action. It rivals Michael Bay's masterpiece of Bad Boys 2 with the causeway scene.
And so I think the biggest bit of trivia in this scene is that they actually built this freeway for this scene. They built, I think, 2 miles of freeway just for this scene. Did you know that? It's because they couldn't shut down a whole freeway, or I think that's pretty much the situation. So they just went out into like the middle of nowhere.
La La Land could do it, but they couldn't.
It's exactly. Yes. When you get what's his name, Ryan Gosling, he's a big name actor, right? So they actually built. I only know this because I watched. I must have spent so much time thinking about this fucking franchise for no reason. But they actually built 2 miles of freeway, and they brought in so many cars for this scene, and they flipped them over. They would have like, in order to flip the cars, they would have like a little metal lip that they would go over that's blocked by the car in front of it, obviously, so you don't see it. But you can sort of see the car it like goes up it, and then it flips over instead of just flipping over.
Yeah, none of the physics of the cars flipping made any sense.
But and you can obviously see they added cars in post as well. But they did a lot of this scene practically. So not to mention Carrie-Anne Moss must have downloaded the pilot. What is it called? The pilot for the motorcycle, because she did a lot of her own stunts in this scene as well. So
she did a lot of them in Matrix as well. So
yeah, she's a very physical and talented person, and I think she fit this role almost perfectly. I think it's a really great scene in total. They get rid of those twins, I think, pretty quickly. I think they meant to have them in like a larger role, those twins. Since they spent so much time designing them and coming up with this whole idea that they can just can pass through physical objects. But it's a really epic chase scene, and it doesn't involve Neo at all. So I think that's also probably the coolest part, because Neo would just end it instantly, I guess. But
which is, I think, why they kept him out of the fight.
Yeah. So it's a really great scene. I think it was really cool that they transferred the keymaker off of the bike while it was moving. That was super sick. And I think
it's a really great action scene. If you're not going to take the time to watch the whole movie, then just watching the sequence is pretty spectacular.
It's what I would do when I got home from school. and we even have Niobe and Ghost in the scene just to catch Morpheus as he's falling off the truck.
So that we can have that and enter the Matrix.
Oh, so cool. Oh yeah, they get to that exact part and enter the Matrix. The game explains how they got there.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but also, again, annoying. Why do I have to play this shitty 20-hour game just to get to this one?
They explain it in the movie because she calls Link and he's like, "Where's Morpheus?" And he's like, "Follow the sirens." It works. 100%.
It's true. Yeah, it's a really great scene, and then Neo saves the day, and Link's like, yes. And then I guess
he's
the last
always
thing
surprised about how fast Neo is flying. Every single time Neo's flying, he's like, "What's moving that quickly? I've never seen anything like this."
So I mean, I think the last thing we should talk about is the ending of the movie with the architect, and so where everything's sort of revealed. That they're on the 7th iteration or the 6th iteration of the Matrix.
And there have been 6 before him.
Okay, so
or is he the 6th one? Either way,
basically,
it's been a bunch.
The numbers aren't really relevant. And
Yeah.
the whole point is that the machines have been allowing the humans to break out of the Matrix.
To live in Zion.
Because it's an anomaly that the One leads the humans out of the Matrix and frees the most minds from the Matrix. So they just somehow cannot account for it. After I think after the first one, they couldn't account for it because the first Matrix was designed to be perfect.
The second Matrix was a nightmare. That's where you get werewolves and vampires and all that shit from. And I think the Merovingian is the second Matrix.
It's from the second Matrix. I think that's a really cool concept that this has been happening, and the machines have so much control that they've been designing multiple matrices. And I think it was really cool, the idea that the first Matrix was supposed to be perfect, but the humans just rejected that idea. I think that's a really interesting, and also I think it's pretty poignant to the story. It sort of calls back to the first Matrix with the ignorance is bliss concept that Cypher goes through. And I think that it sort of shows that, we can't, it's difficult. The human condition is very difficult to convince in terms of this simulation. It's very hard. It shows that the machines didn't fully understand what humans wanted in terms of their reality. And I think that's actually a really cool idea, even though it's obviously he goes over it in a second and they don't spend any time talking about it. But I think it's a cool concept.
I think the other thing is that in a perfect world where there's no choice to choose anything other than one way, it's going to break people's minds because people don't get choice.
Right.
In that, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think the machines interpreted it correctly, because I don't think that the machines were understood why the humans wouldn't want to be in a perfect idyllic world. Oh, because they want to kill and do mean and terrible things. I think it's because of the lack of choice that would be envisaged in that.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't think they understood that.
Yeah, so they at this point it's revealed that there's been a One, and the purpose of the One is to lead the humans and save the human race. At which point, if he goes to the source code, and he destroys. Yeah, he resets the Matrix, but is allowed to restart the human race because the machines still need the humans to survive. But Neo's condition is different because he's the first one that has ever been in love. And I think this is also a huge part of the story because love is a pretty much decidedly a human emotion that the machines can't simulate and they don't understand, and only humans understand it, right? So I think that's a really cool idea, the difference between AI and humans. So basically Neo chooses Trinity, obviously, because he's in love with her, doesn't want to go through with the plan, and he's going to find another way to save the human race from this impending doom, which is the destruction of Zion, which the machines have become increasingly efficient at. Yes.
But I think it's also a false choice, right? It's like the Oracle is a program designed to force this choice, and then the Architect is another program designed to force that choice of resetting. But I think Neo is the first anomaly code to understand the falsity of the choice that's before him.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
He's a special one. He is the one of the ones. This really had to make him special. So it's a really cool movie that clearly ends. Very few movies end in this way, but I guess it was with a 100% cliffhanger. Very few movies, I think, end with such a big cliffhanger. But of course, it was implying that the next movie was coming out within the same year, and that you were going to watch it. So that's why they ended it this way. They basically end the movie. It's revealed that Neo has his powers reach beyond the Matrix and extend into the real world. He's able to feel the machines. I can feel them. Something's different. I can feel them.
Because he can hack into the pirates. He can broadcast his own pirate signal. He can touch the source code.
Right, and then basically in the third movie we'll discuss it, but he's in the Matrix without being physically plugged into it, I think. That's how it starts off anyways.
We'll get into that
next week. Basically it ends with they find one survivor because the machines destroyed all of the ships involved in this rogue plan to get Neo to the source. Destroyed all the ships except for, I guess, Niobe's ship, and they found one.
There were just
survivor.
3 of them. No, those are 2 separate plans.
Okay,
so there's the 2 ships that were dispatched to go find the Nebuchadnezzar. One ship gets destroyed, and then the other Niobe's ship is we don't know what happens to it in this movie. The Nebuchadnezzar eventually is destroyed. And then the other plan, which was for the ships 5 or 6 ships to go on a counterattack because the Sentinels will have to drill through this certain sewer line to get to Zion, even whatever.
It gets very convoluted.
So they were going to EMP them at that location, but an EMP went off early, presumably because Agent Smith Bane set off the EMP, which killed the human ships and therefore destroyed them, and the Sentinels are continuing on into Zion.
And then the thing is, though, Bane obviously survives and he's picked up onto the same ship that Neo's picked up on. And so
captained by Roland.
Yeah. Yep.
So
this
like
is a huge
Alan
cliffhanger to
Tuck.
leave the. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that they ended the movie right there. I think it was a good ending for a middle movie. I don't remember, for instance, like Lord of the Rings 2 Towers ending. I don't remember its ending at all.
Lord of the Rings 2 Towers is they meet the hobbits at Isengard while Frodo and Sam are moving on from the border town. I think the border town into oh my god, what is the evil place called? Mordor.
Midgar. That's
Mordor.
Final Fantasy.
As Hugo Weaving says in Lord of the Rings, Mordor.
And Star Wars ends with Luke Skywalker as
everybody's favorite of the original.
And they just zoom out, right? It's those movies have more of a less of a cliffhanger ending.
More of a conclusion. And the Hunger Games too had a bigger conclusion. So
I think it was really bold of them to end the movie in this way. It's sort of like holy shit, he's right there. Not that anyone is that into the Matrix except for me.
And straight into a Rage Against the Machine song, which doesn't fit with the vibe of this film at all. So the whole movie is like techno and whatever, and then it goes into Rage Against the Machine at the end. This soundtrack not as good as the score, not as good as the previous.
But I do like that song. That Rage Against the Machine song is great.
My Rage Against the Machine concert got postponed a whole year.
Woo! You made it. But I hope they will probably play both of those songs.
Probably.
They are very
it's Rage Against the Machine. Anyway, everyone,
Anyways, yeah.
we'll see you next week as we continue on to the Matrix Revolutions.
Tell us in the comment section below what you think of these movies. We can't wait to read all the comments that exist. Anyways, we're done.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
guys. Bye.